Good day, good people, and welcome to Wisdom Wednesday. Take a breath and settle in. You may wish to have a piece of paper and pencil ready for our practice today. Wisdom Wednesday is simply a contemplative reflection involving 6 short reflections, each followed by a short period of silence so that we can rest in that knowing. And you're invited during that period of rest to just see if you connect with one word or maybe one phrase of no more than 3 words. And then jot that down on your piece of paper. As we end our final reflection, we'll take a moment for everyone to just to look at what they've written and connected with, and then maybe share that in the chat section. The topic today is Jewish contemplation. And you're invited to remember that wisdom is knowing with more of you. It's not knowing more, it's an embodied knowing. It's not knowing by agreeing or disagreeing. It's knowing by a deep resonance or a embodied feeling. And this Jewish tradition that we'll be speaking about today comes from the Hasidic tradition, Hasidism. So let us begin. Hasidism is the great movement of religious revival that brought new spirit to the lives of Jews in the towns and villages of Poland and Ukraine. Hasidism uncovered the ineffable delight of being a Jew. God is not only the creator of earth and heaven, she is also the one who created delight and joy. Hasidic Jews fell in love with God and felt such yearning for God that it was unbearable. They feel the infinite sweetness that comes with the fulfilling of the precept of hospitality and of wearing the prayer shawl called the talith. They feel like everlasting in a sacred melody. They feel life everlasting in a sacred melody and absorb the Sabbath as a vivid anticipation of the life to come. Experience God's love and delight and the emptiness of religion without it. Have a loving or intimate experience with God. God loves us before we do the rituals. God doesn't need them, but we need them to tenderly express our childlike devotion and desire and to get in touch with that desire. The great commandment is to be in love. The ancient rabbis taught God desires the heart. The concept of clinging or cleaving is found in the Hebrew scriptures where the verb davak, D-A-V-A-K, signifies an extraordinary intimacy with the divine. to love Yahweh your God, to listen to his voice, and to cleave to him. For he is your life and the length of your days. Realize that God is your life. Feel the fullness of God present in yourself without actually erasing your sense of self. The essential message and practice of early Hasidism are simple. The whole earth is full of God's glory, and the practice is I place God before me always. Understand these, and you understand Hasidism. The relationship of a wave to the ocean aptly captures the situation of Hasidism. Focus on yourself as a wave, and you are increasingly frantic and worried. Focus on yourself as the ocean, and you find tranquility and peace of mind. Hasidism tries to wake the wave up to being the ocean. Awaken to your true nature is what it is to place God before you always. Everywhere you look, you see God, not as an abstract spirit, but as the true being of all beings. God is everywhere and can be found by anyone whose heart is open, simple, and pure. Just as we do here, practice of silence may come as a blessing for those who have learned its benefits, even from other traditions, and who now wish to integrate it into their lives. Silent meditation isn't an end in itself. It is a practice whose test must come in the world of action and interaction. The spiritual practices provide us with guidance for meditation and prayer. But the ultimate challenge they pose is this: can we maintain our spiritual focus in the world beyond the synagogue, the temple, the study hall, or retreat center? Each night, as we review the events of the day, we must ask ourselves, have I lived this day with awareness? Even when you speak with others about the wisdom of Torah, silence is still preferable. Silent contemplation offers greater possibilities for connection with the divine. And the sacred nature of silence is at the heart of contemplative awakening. Silence isn't just that which is around words and underneath images and events. It has a life of its own. It is a being in itself to which we can relate and become intimately familiar. Silence is at the very foundation of all reality. To live in this primordial foundational being called silence creates a kind of sympathetic resonance with what is right in front of us. We must wait for pure action, which always proceeds from a contemplative silence. We have to be awake right now, and we can be through silence. For you to be a saint means to be yourself. We discover our true identity in God when we no longer pretend to be anything other than who we are. In the world to come, I shall not be asked, why were you not Moses? Why were you not Jesus? I shall be asked, why were you not fill in the blank with your name? The paths of heaven are as bright too as the streets of our native town. It is a greater thing if the streets of a person's native town are as bright to them as the paths of heaven. For it is here where we stand that we should try to make shine the light of the hidden divine life. God's presence is found in all reality. It takes an inner willingness to encounter it. Where is the dwelling of God? What a thing to ask. Is not the whole world full of God's glory? God dwells wherever a person lets her in. Do you not know that you are God's temple and that God's Spirit dwells in you? For God's temple is holy, and you are that temple. Friends, we must approach the scriptures with humility and patience, with our own agenda out of the way, and allow the Spirit to stir the deeper meaning for us. Otherwise, we only hear what we already agree with and what we have decided to look for. We must teach not in the way philosophy is taught, but in the way the Spirit teaches us. We must teach spiritual things spiritually. This mode of teaching is much more about transformation than information. That changes the entire focus and goal of our reading and study because we need transformed people today. Explanation separates us from astonishment. The marvelous anthology of books and letters called the Bible is all for the sake of astonishment. It's for divine transformation, not intellectual or small self coziness. Ideas are not a problem, but a truer inner experience is something else. It changes us. And the biblical revelation invites us into genuine new experience. Even though your mind cannot yet transcend this world, God is with you in your prayer. One who reads the words of prayer with great devotion may come to see the lights within the letters, even though one doesn't understand the meaning of the words one speaks. The Hebrew scriptures, against all religious expectations, include what most of us would call the problem, the negative, the accidental, the sinful, as the precise arena for divine revelation. The Jewish people chose to present their arrogant and evil kings and their very critical prophets as part of their holy scriptures. They include stories and prophecies that do not tell the Jewish people how wonderful they are, but rather how terrible they are. It is the birth of self critical thinking and thus moves consciousness forward. No other religion has been known for such capacity for self criticism down to our time. Inherent to all traditional religion is the peril of stagnation. What becomes settled and established may easily turn foul. Insight is replaced by cliches, elasticity by obstinacy, spontaneity by habit. Acts of dissent prove to be acts of renewal. It is therefore of vital importance for religious people to voice and to appreciate dissent. And dissent implies self examination, critique, discontent. Dissent is indigenous to Judaism. The prophets of ancient Israel who rebelled against a religion that would merely serve the self interest or survival of the people continue to stand out as inspiration and example of dissent to this very day. Self criticism is necessary to keep religion from its natural tendency toward arrogant self assurance and eventually idolatry. Creative dissent comes out of love and faith, offering positive alternatives of vision. Dear ones, whether you are here for the live session or the recorded session, thank you for being here. I hope to see you again next Wednesday. We'll take just a moment to share the credits for where these reflections came from. And if you would like to share in the chat section anything that was revealed to you in this moment, please feel free to share.